Today in writing, I am going to show you how to use a checklist for your writing today. So yesterday, you watched Miss Loggy interview Mrs. Loggy about the COVID-19 virus and how it is affecting her life. So you have a little bit of background knowledge about what she said in the interview. The next part of writing is turning your writing into plans and organizing your thoughts. So a really great tool to use is a checklist during writing process. So as I was writing my story today, I had to use a checklist so that way I knew what I could put in my paper and make it look good and sound good. So here's how I started. First, I started with what I had from yesterday. This was what I wrote down about what my mom had said with the questions. So I have what she mentioned, and I'm going to turn this into kind of like a magazine article. I was thinking of those magazine articles where they interview people, and that's what I would want my readers to look at when they are reading about this in a historical event. Because when we read about history, we often find history facts inside of a magazine or a newspaper or a website. So I thought that this would be a really great way for me to do that. So the first thing that I did was I'm going to show you the checklist first. So here is the checklist. My writing has an effective beginning, middle, and end. My writing contains a strong controlling idea that stays on topic. So I need to make sure that my topic stays about how the coronavirus is affecting my mom. I can't change the story to about how it's affecting me or other people. I'm going to stick with how it is affecting my mom. I'm also going to make sure that I have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So here is what I did in my writing. So to get started on my plan, I started off with introduction, body, and conclusion. And then I put bullets underneath. So this is a good way to start off with planning out how you want your paper to look. This is not complete sentences, they're just phrases, one or two sentences. It's just not a lot of work. So the next thing is once I plan out what I'm going to say. So for my introduction, I want to make sure that I talk to my mom about the coronavirus. I want to remember that my mom is somebody important in my life. And I also want to kind of explain who my mom is to me. What is she like? So just to get the reader interested in her story. And the body of the story, or the middle, that's the true story of what you're trying to accomplish and tell in the middle of your story. So I want to make sure that in my body I include her struggles and her worries, and also like her daily life. I forgot to put that there. And then her conclusion, or my conclusion, sorry, would be things to remember during this time. And I think that she brings up about joy, is the joys in her life. So I want to make sure I end on a positive note. So when I started off with an introduction. So I start by saying, you can use like a question or start off with a quote, or you could even start off with a basic fact about your topic. So I chose a question. I started off with, have you ever felt like you were making history or you were part of history? During this pandemic, we are all living through history and we should record it for the future. I want you all to meet my mom. She is my best friend and she's incredibly smart, creative, and loves to learn about everything. She lives 2 hours away from me and social distancing can be tough, but especially for her. In my interview, you will learn about her daily life and struggles during the coronavirus pandemic. So far, I have a really strong sense of my topic. I haven't swayed about anything away from my mom, and I do have a beginning. So let's continue. I have also headings, so that's really important too. Currently, on this quiet afternoon, my mom is plowing through her lessons for next year. She's an art teacher. But when I finish, I can't wait to do my creative activities. I can hear her smile on the phone. She really loves to make art. One of her favorites is making children's stories. Sometimes they even come to me in just a title, she explains. Struggles. I don't normally see my mom struggle internally or emotionally. She always seems to know what to do or she's trying her best. Her biggest struggle, she says, is I really stress out about my blood sugar because I'm diabetic. But when I stress about it, it makes my sugar go even higher. It's a vicious cycle. I can tell she is anxious because diabetics are high risk for getting COVID-19. So far I'm still talking about my mom, and that's really important because I'm staying on task. Let's come back to our checklist. So I need to make sure that my writing flows smoothly from one idea to another. I feel like I organized my ideas in a way that would go from her daily life to explaining some of her problems and how she fixes her problems. We're going to learn about how does she fix some of her worries. And then of course I'm going to end my story with maybe some solutions or positivity. So my writing uses precise and vivid language. I feel like I am explaining how my mom sounds or how my mom is as a person, especially when I say things like I can hear her smile on the phone. She loves to make art. And I use her dialogue to be specific and precise. That's what precise means about what she is saying. So let's continue. So my worries. So now I'm on my next page. I have worries. My mom is worried about a lot when I spoke to her, but here were her tips for how she deals with the stress of COVID-19. 1. She fact checks everything she hears. 2. She relies on the cdc.gov website for updated information. They even debunk fake news. She reads facts about COVID-19. And 4. She does what the CDC recommends. Lastly, find the joy in life, even in tough times. I asked my mom one last thing. Even though there are so many people who feel scared, people have realized positivity is still present. What are some joys in your life during COVID-19? She said she realized 3 things. First, I have more time to exercise than ever before. Second, because of exercise, I feel less stressed, which helps me to lower my blood sugar. And lastly, I am feeling how strong I am getting. I think my mom is onto something. Once you realize your strength, you can do anything, and you can get through anything too. So that's how I ended my story interview about my mom. Let's see if my writing contains sentences that are clear and varied in structure. I feel like I have some sentences that are short, like I said, one of her favorites is making children's stories. But I also kind of describe how she is as a person. I say she is my best friend and she's incredibly smart, creative, and loves to learn about everything. But I also said things short, like she's an art teacher. So I have different lengths of sentences, which is good. You don't want too short sentences all the time, but you also don't want to use too long of sentences all the time either. And of course, I went back and I made sure that I started my story sentences with punctuation, capitalizing, indenting. So remember, indenting is leaving space in a paragraph. Now notice that these are paragraphs right here. This is one whole paragraph. This is another paragraph. And this is another one. So there's 3 paragraphs right here. Then I have 4 paragraphs and 5 paragraphs. Paragraphs are not the same as sentences. Sentences is one thought. A paragraph contains lots of thoughts about a central idea. So make sure when you write, you're using paragraphs and you're completing your thoughts. When you complete a thought, put a dot. That's what Mrs. Unruh says. And I love that because when you complete a thought, you need to end your punctuation with a dot. Sometimes a comma if you're listing things. Alright, so today when you go out to write today, you are going to get another prompt, and I will post that on your activity log. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.